Hey, welcome to the 42 Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Kajila. This is a space built primarily for athletes where their stories are told and shared with the world. The name 42 means for the athlete to the world, and that's exactly our mission. Along the way, we'll also dive into everything happening in our wonderful world of sports. So whether you're an athlete, a fan, or just love a good story, you are in the right place. Hey guys, welcome back to the 42 Sports Podcast. If you happen to miss the last episode on Friday, where I spoke to Andre Chizinga, this was the episode titled Meet the Athlete, or Meet the Athlete, and it's the first episode in a new series. So a while back, a couple of weeks ago, I promised you guys that I would be doing more athlete interviews because that is truly at the heart of 42 Sports. So, today we're going to speak about general global sports, but the long-term vision is to engage with athletes, specifically younger athletes, and just engage with them, let them tell their stories, and let them encourage us and let them share with the world what they have to offer. And Andre Chizinga did exactly that. In that episode, we just got to unpack some of his approach to his craft. So he's a sprinter, specifically I think 100 meters and 200 meters. And just hearing from him, hearing his journey that led him up to that point, and also how going through adversity actually built him up. He lost his brother a few years ago, and because of that loss, it actually inspired him to pursue athletics at a very high level. But I'm not going to speak more on that. If you want to listen to the full episode, it is available wherever you do listen to your podcast. So whether that's Spotify, Apple, or YouTube, it's up there. And maybe you're wanting the 42 Sports Podcast to be on another platform. And if that is the case, you're more than welcome to leave a comment on Spotify. But you can also send me a comment also on YouTube as well, would be appreciated. But you can also send me a message on Instagram. My Instagram handle is J_Kaz12. So that's J_KAZ12. And then I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. Also last week, if you missed it, that on the Wednesday, I think Bafana qualified, and we had a almost like improv, I was going to say a worship episode, a ministry episode, where I was able to encourage you based off of Bafana's performance. And so that was another first for the channel as well. And we were going through Ecclesiastes and just chatting about a specific verse in chapter 11 where it speaks about he who observes the wind will not sow and he who regards the clouds will not reap. So that was the first ministry episode we had, and we also had our first athlete interview. So it was a pretty cool week last week, and this week is going to be very similar. We most likely won't have a ministry episode this week, but I'm hoping to have an interview with an athlete by the end of the week. And so with all of that said, let's move on to today's conversation. And if you're still listening at this point, it's because you are here for one thing and one thing only, and that's Manchester United beat Liverpool at Anfield 2-1 last night. It was a brilliant game. I was watching it with my wife and my parents. My mom is a Liverpool fan. My dad is an Arsenal fan, and I'm a United fan. So definitely a very, very interesting dynamic when we were watching that game. But I was very surprised with the early goal that we managed to get through Brian Mbeumo. And I know there was a lot of controversy surrounding, the goal with Alexis McAllister being, at first I thought it was a foul from Mbeumo, but it was actually Virgil van Dijk who fouled, I can't even say fouled, it's his own teammate, who elbowed McAllister in the head, and then as a result of that, McAllister was down. And so under normal conditions, and I'm glad that Michael Oliver decided to allow the game to continue. Under normal conditions, if it's a head injury, then normally what the ref should do or would do is the ref would stop the game to check if the player is all right. But for whatever reason, Michael Oliver didn't decide to do that, and Brian Mbemo was able to score in the second minute of that game. So that was an insane start, crazy. Nobody would have anticipated that start, and I think for that first half, I don't know if Bruno had that chance in the first 30 minutes. I think he did. But what happened is United were, I would say, relatively comfortable. Liverpool were showing quite a bit of nervousness around the back. Well, they've never been strong defensively, but even on the ball, they were a little bit indecisive, and they lacked conviction. They lacked character when they were going forward. But Bruno should have even had a second goal within 30 minutes, and that would have, that would have been disastrous. But luckily for Liverpool, it was only 1-0 up until the half, and then Cody Gakpo, the 78th minute, managed to equalise. Then Harry Maguire, not too long after, in the 84th minute, managed to seal the game, the victory for Manchester United. Watching that game, or going into that game, I didn't really know what to expect, because United, they were victorious against Sunderland at home, and Sunderland's a good team, and Sunderland also won 2-0, if I'm not mistaken, over the weekend. I was watching some of the highlights, and Sunderland won against Wolves. So Wolves not really in a lot of form, but Sunderland, they're 7th, so they're a top half team. So very good victory for United at home. And coming into this game at Anfield, I think a lot of United fans didn't really expect too much. I don't think I encountered a single fan who expected us to win convincingly, or to not get battered. I mean, a lot of Liverpool fans were saying 5-0, 4-0, 3-0, 3-1, a high-scoring game in their favour. But it was good to see United show some character, and maybe Ruben Amorim, I guess this is what everyone wants to know. Is this the turning point with this United team? Because it's been a thing of 1 step forward, 2 steps back, and then 1 step forward again, 3 steps back, 2 steps forward, 5 steps back, whatever. It's been that constant back and forth with this Ruben Amorim side. But for the first time in his tenure, Ruben Amorim has won back-to-back games, and one of them being Anfield, or Liverpool at Anfield, which is insane, because the last time United won at Anfield was under Louis van Gaal. That was in 2016. And so that's almost 10 years since United have won at Anfield, and Ruben Amorim managed to pull it off. And credit to him, because when I saw that team, or that lineup, like many United fans, I was quite disappointed, actually, with his selection and his choice. I mean, he dropped Sesko, and then also having Maguire on for Euro was also quite surprising. But it paid off. Harry Maguire got the winner, and so fair play to Amorim for sticking to his guns and securing the victory. It was a very well-executed display. And yes, you could say Cody Gakpo hit the post, I think, twice, and he missed the chance. So that was... Liverpool definitely had their chances, but, from a United point of view, I'm not going to really complain too much. And the new keeper, Sene Lamens, I mean, he's looking... He just fortifies the defense. His presence when it's when there's like set pieces or long balls coming in, it just helps everyone stay calm and relax. And I think that's contributing to a bit of the stability that we're seeing at the back at the United, or amongst the United defenders. So things are heading in the right direction for Manchester United. But again, is this the turning point for this United side? My personal opinion is, if we can beat Brighton, which is our next game, then I think we will be in an interesting position. We're playing Brighton at home on Saturday. We'll be in an interesting position for sure. I'm not really sure what lineup Ruben Amorim is going to go with, because I know for this game against Liverpool, he chose Maguire instead of Euro because of experience. This game against Brighton, is he going to stick with Maguire? I mean, Euro's been performing a lot better over the last few games. So is he going to stick with Maguire? Is he going to stick with Euro? it's not my job. I'm not the manager, and whatever he chooses, I think he's earned a little bit of trust from the United faithful. So Jim Ratcliffe's comments during the international break, a lot of people are saying that because Jim Ratcliffe is backing Amorim and he's saying he's probably going to be here for the next 3 seasons, that allowed some stability to form within this United team, with this United camp. That might be the case, but we'll have to wait and see for that game against Brighton. Brighton have been quite the tricky side for United in recent years. I know it's always been a tough fixture for us, and we've not really enjoyed too much. We haven't really enjoyed too much fortune against them. But we'll see. If we can defeat Brighton and maybe even make it a convincing win, then I think we can start dropping our guard a little bit as United fans. Maybe this team is heading in the right direction. But with United and Amorim and Bruno and some of the leadership have acknowledged that with United, if you win, it's not the system, it's individual brilliance. But if you lose, it's a system, the manager needs to go. So it's a very tough environment. And I think Ruben Amorim is learning now how to navigate those things, how to navigate the ups, the wins. The massive win against Liverpool, he's navigated it well so far. He's staying calm. He's not getting ahead of himself, and he's ensuring that the team is not getting ahead of themselves. So it'll be an interesting game against Brighton. I'm going to be watching that one and hoping for a good result. I want to move on to Liverpool, because coming into this game for Liverpool, especially after losing 3 games in a row, granted they were away games, but yeah, they came into this game with a little bit of pressure, and I think they were showing signs yesterday that the pressure was maybe getting to them as a team, because United, I mean, we all knew that United was just going to go there and defend essentially, but United had moments where they were controlling the game at Anfield, which is insane to me. But Liverpool just were a bit sloppy, and some of the basic errors. Van Dijk, I remember, I think that defensively for the first goal with Mbeumo, he kind of let Mbeumo drift and run in behind him and then eventually score. So not the best from their leader, but just a bunch of individual issues popping up with Liverpool. I mean, Mohamed Salah, he struggled this season. I actually took him out of my FPL team. I have gone with Erling Haaland, which is a lot more of a reliable pick, more reliable player. So yeah, and he scored over the weekend as well against, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Everton. But that's besides the point. Mohamed Salah is struggling tremendously this season, and it could be an indication that he is past his best, unfortunately, for Liverpool fans. Might be time to acknowledge that. But even the rest of the squad just didn't look 100%. Cody Gakpo was probably the most impressive player, getting or creating quite a few chances for himself and scoring the equalizer. So he was probably the most impressive player for them going forward. But I'm struggling to think of one Liverpool player that was just brilliant throughout the game. I can't think of one. Yeah, maybe Kunate had a few moments. But I can't think of any Liverpool player. I mean, they're in a tricky position because Arne Slot won the league last year, and now because of losing, I think they've lost 4 times in a row now, because of recent form, there's now extra pressure being placed on him as a manager. I mean, you get given 400 million British pounds. You get Isak, Ekitike, Verts, Kirkers, Frimpong. You get all those stars, all those players, and you become worse than the last season. And for Liverpool at this stage, according to the table, they're only a few points ahead of United. They're only 2 points ahead of United. So for whatever reason, if Liverpool goes to us, I think they're playing Aston Villa next. If Liverpool goes to Aston Villa and they lose, now it becomes a little bit trickier. it becomes a bit of a challenge, because Arne Slot now is going to be under immense pressure. And forgive me, they're not going to Liverpool, they're going to Brentford. So that's a little bit easier, actually, I feel, than an Aston Villa. So Brentford up next for Liverpool. That's a game that they need to win. That's a game that they will want to win by a large margin. So I think they'll be fine. And they're also playing Frankfurt in the middle of the week. So I expect Liverpool to bounce back slightly after the Frankfurt game. I expect them to win that game and the Brentford game, and then the calm will be restored in the red side of Liverpool. But yeah, Arne Slot needs to show Anfield why he isn't just, hanging off of Jurgen Klopp's leftovers, but he's able to take this club forward. So it's going to be quite an interesting season for Liverpool, I think, because I don't think they're favourites for the title. I think it's between Arsenal and City. And in terms of those two, I mean, Arsenal is looking very consistent this year. Still, maybe they could create a little bit more. Man City's always going to be lurking in and around the top 3 spots. But yeah, Arne Slot needs to figure out a way to get his team moving and clicking in motion, because I still don't understand the signing of Hugo Ekitike and Isak. 2 very gifted players. I would say Ekitike has fit into this Liverpool system a little bit better than Isak has. And they were pushing for Isak for quite some time, even while Ekitike was performing, and now dropping Ekitike, starting Isak, which makes sense because Isak was a massive signing. Isak was the record-breaking transfer of this window for them, alongside Florian Wirtz. So to have those two maybe out of the squad, out of the starting 11, it's kind of a massive failed investment for Liverpool. Wirtz started on the bench yesterday, and he came on, he looked decent, there were glimpses there, but still not justifying his price tag. So Liverpool have got a lot of questions, and I don't think they have the answers just as yet. But let's see how they do on Wednesday against Frankfurt. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the podcast so far. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Before we dive back into the episode, I'd love it if you could take a quick moment to support this podcast. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, leaving a review or a rating goes a long way. And if you're watching on YouTube, a like, a comment, or even subscribing would mean the world to me. All right, that's enough from my side. Let's get back into the show. We're going to do a recap now to end off this episode of what's happening in the world of sports in the previous, or what has happened this previous weekend. Starting off in America, and I'm not talking about NFL, I'm not talking about basketball, I'm not talking about the NBA, I'm not talking about college football, MLB, MLS, talking about the United States GP. And Max Verstappen was able to be he was able to finish in pole position. And this makes the rest of the season quite interesting. There are a few races left. So there's the Mexican GP, Brazilian GP, Vegas GP, Qatar, and then ending in Abu Dhabi. So that makes the F1 race a little bit interesting now, because we had Lando Norris and Piastri. They were always ahead, and they still are ahead currently in the F1 racers standings. But I think with this recent victory, Max Verstappen has been able to put a bit of pressure on those two. He is about just under 30 points behind Norris, and then he still has a little bit of a way to go to reach Piastri. But now, be interesting to see how Piastri and Norris do deal with that pressure. I'm going to be watching the F1 ending to the season a little bit more closely now, because for most of the season it's just been Piastri and Norris back and forth. But yeah, it's going to be interesting seeing what Verstappen can do and if he can ruffle some McLaren feathers. Moving away from the United States and coming back home to South Africa, the URC, there were a couple of fixtures actually that took place this weekend, and some local victories for the Bulls as they defeated Connect 28 to 27. The Lions defeated Scarlets 29 to 18. And the Stormers also defeated Zebre 31 to 13. The Sharks, unfortunately, fell short to Ulster, and Munster beat Leinster 31 to 14, and the Glasgow Warriors beat Ospreys 42 to 17. And then also in more rugby news, the Springboks have announced their team for the Castle Lager November. I think it's the November tour actually, and it's an interesting team that has most of the regular players. The only uncapped player at this stage is Stormers prop Zachary Porthen. So that's going to be interesting whether or not he'll get his debut for the outgoing tour in November. And it'll be interesting to see whether Sio Kolisi will be able to get his 100th cap for the Springboks. But I'm going to leave it there for today's episode. I hope you did enjoy it. I hope the week is or has started off well for you, because the weekend, as from a United perspective, perfect start to the week, defeating Liverpool at Anfield. But in whatever you are trying to achieve this week, I wish you all the best. Praying for you as well. Continue praying for the show. Continue giving feedback. I always appreciate hearing some comments and just hearing what I could do to improve the show, what you'd want to see more of, what you'd want to see less of. I'm all open ears, and it's going to be a great week, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on Wednesday. But for now, I'll have to let you go. This is the 42 Sports Podcast. I'm Joshua Kijila, and that's 42 Sports, for the athlete to the world. Bye.